So welcome everyone on another workshop, the first workshop of 2025, and is going to be a good one. So Fabienne and me, we connected a few months ago. Okay, the missus coming home and the dogs are barking. Can you hear it?
No.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. Um, so Fabienne and me met quite a while ago, and we also did a podcast together. So after this, if you want to know more about her, then check out my podcast and where we dive really deep into her story. But in that podcast, we talked a little bit about this drama cycle, and like even though subconsciously I knew about it or understood it, I've never heard someone explain it in such grave detail and actually like twist it around to something that Fabienne mentioned just before in the conversation, the empowerment dynamic, because it like drama is all over the place, right? And I don't think there's anyone who likes drama. Let's be honest. It is part of life. Well, yes, Fabienne, I see your face. It's true, but you know the reasons behind why they like drama might be different. But nonetheless, I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited to dive deep into the drama dynamics, flip that around into the empowerment dynamics, and if understood right, I'll have a little bit of an open conversation about it, hear your opinions, and see how we can actually implement this in our life so that we can create more empowering dynamics around us instead of dramatic ones. So that being said, Fabienne, I know you're going to introduce yourself. I know I didn't say too much about you, so I'm going to give the mic to you. Enjoy, and yes, I'm looking forward to it. Go for it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you everyone for being here. I'm excited. I'm going to be honest, this is the first time that I'm presenting this in like a complete strangers community. Not a strangers community. I know Martin, right? But I don't know any of you. And yeah, but I know how powerful it has been for people that I've shared this concept with previously, even coaches, even trained coaches I've shared this with, they weren't aware of that. And that was kind of like the moment where it also started sparking in me like, okay, I need to get this to more people. And my hopes for today is really to give you just a new lens, a new way of looking at life, at events, at people, at things, so that you can change your experience of life. And I'm just going to share my screen because that's going to help me a little bit guide myself here. Obviously, yes. So the title of the workshop today, The Power of TED, and TED stands for the Empowerment Dynamics. And how to flip the drama triangle, which I like to depict as an upside down triangle, flip it right side up, flip it bottom up. So that's where the title is coming from. The key takeaways for today's session is really to start seeing things from a new perspective, bad things from a new light, really understanding the antidote to the drama triangle. So David Emerald, who presented the empowerment dynamics, put DDT for the drama triangle and TED as the antidote for the empowerment dynamic. And I'm not too sure, but apparently that's some poison and it's antidotes kind of thing, elements. One of you knows. But that was the wordplay that he went for. And yeah, eventually really also starting to take responsibility whenever you start noticing yourself slipping into the drama. And just like Martin just shared as well, it's like sometimes we also love our drama because it's what we know. It's where we feel safe, because then we can be supported by others and we are not the bad guys as long as we are the victim, right? So we're going to get to that in a second. A little bit something about me, just for you to get a little bit of an idea of who I am. I don't want to brag too much or say too much. I'm doing way too many things. And this is just a fraction of the things that I do since I started creating my life on my own terms. Became a snowboard instructor, ran away from home, became a yoga teacher, have done a gazillion trainings so far since that in many different realms. So I like to pick and choose from many different menus, which creates for me a very big toolbox that I can share with people. Thai massage body worker. I love working with bodies and connecting people with each other and themselves as well. I love handstands, balancing stuff. And I've also experienced mental abuse in that sense, which is really helping me then also putting this into practice. I'm an acro yoga teacher, yoga studio owner, creator of the Fabulous Living course and methodology. That's how I coach people, women with ADHD primarily. That's my focus at the moment, or at least women that are feeling a little bit multi-passionate and easily distracted and easily overwhelmed by everything that's out there. I'm a ski instructor, a highliner, and now since 2023 officially a transformational heart and mindset coach. I also had a near fatal back injury in 2023, March, snowboarding. And that has been a very, very beautiful and interesting testament to this work with the empowerment dynamics as well. So what is the dreaded trauma triangle? There's this guy, Dr. Stephen Karpman, who was researching a little bit the dynamics between human beings and how we relate to one another. And in 1968, he started figuring out that there's always this dynamic between these three different roles: the victim, a persecutor, and more often than not, a rescuer. Who has heard of any of these roles? Maybe share by show of hands or in the chat as well. Whoop. There we go. And let me just ask you for a second, where do you see yourself the most? Where do you see yourself the most? In what role do you find you playing around? Rescuer, victim. Rescuer, okay, okay. The victim. Nobody's a persecutor? All right, cool. Can anybody see where they maybe themselves have been a persecutor at times? Martin says, definitely the service industry presents here as rescuers, yes. All three, yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So oftentimes when we hear these different roles, we may think of it as people, as persons, right? In like interrelations. And the fun thing is that these roles don't necessarily need to be covered by humans. It can be circumstances, it can be illnesses, it can be a table that you jam your foot towards. It can be alcohol, social media as a rescuer, the thing that kind of like alleviates the pain or the discomfort that you're feeling when you're, yeah, in a drama in that sense. We are living in today's world in a world that is narrated through the drama dynamics. And that is why it is really, really hard for us, even when we're trying to empower ourselves, to actually get out of it. So we can empower each other, but still stay within that drama triangular dynamics. And that is often what happens with, in the coaching industry as well, and service providers. We still often have a tendency to see the people that we're helping sort of as victims, as somebody who's suffering from a persecution or from a villain or whatever that is, right? Either the society, either an illness, either whatever that might be. And when we flip it into really understanding how to see it from an empowered perspective, things can only change then. And I want to ask real quick if one or two of you to share maybe an experience of yourselves where you felt yourself as a victim or a rescuer, just something that came up earlier when I asked you which one you feel the most, and see within that situation whether that has even changed within the same situation for you. So just so that I can hear a little bit also where you're at and start getting into, understanding where to take this. Anyone would like to share?
I'll share.
Hi, Erica. Thank you.
Simply coming at the, not being familiar with this paradigm, but coming at the rescuer position from the state of being empathic and feeling others' feelings very deeply, even if they're not people who I am close to. So having that inclination to make things better. If anyone's familiar with that movie Inside Out, that was out and so being like Joy, where you don't want anyone to be upset or disappointed or traumatized in any way, and wanting to fix it and make it better.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Coralie. Coralie, sorry.
Yeah, I actually have a question because I've got quite a clear picture of what the victim and the rescuer is, but not 100% sure of the persecutor. Could you maybe say one or two sentences about it, him, her?
Yes, yeah. So the persecutor would be the villain in the story. It's the one who is bullying the victim. It is the injury that's making the person not being able to do the things that they used to be able to do. It's the thing that is kind of like making the life of the victim hard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so really the bad guy. I was thinking maybe
Exactly. Yeah.
something else, but it's okay. Okay, thanks.
All right. Anybody wants to share? Otherwise, we move on to, obviously, what we're all been waiting for. Lawrence, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you. I think with the rescuer, I think in the past I've found myself maybe jumping in and offering, if I think about it even just from like a business point of view, like too much for too like cheap, or like or even offering services for too long, thinking like I'm still needed when maybe I'm not, maybe, if that kind of makes sense, because I feel like I still need to be doing more. And then also other situations where like I've gone into help where it probably wasn't the right thing even for me to do, but feeling like there was this maybe this need to do that, even if maybe from the other person's point of view, it wasn't even necessarily my support they needed. If that kind of makes sense, if you follow that train of thought. Yeah.
Can anybody relate with that? Yeah, definitely can. And I love that you speak to that, because what you said, that staying in there for longer than it might be needed. Can you speak to that a little bit for yourself, and what was going on inside of you that was feeling the need to provide more?
Yeah, it's a very good question. potentially from a point of view of needing, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of like different times, right? Because I can think of times in my early coaching career where it was maybe needing to feeling like I needed to prove myself that I could still support, I could still help them over that next barrier, or that next hurdle. But then I can also think of other times when I was in kind of my corporate role and I was getting like kind of sucked into situations that I knew wasn't necessarily right for me, but I had some answers or solutions that could help. But I knew I was kind of getting sucked into like a toxic area or a toxic space, and then still doing it anyway because I felt like this pull, or I felt like I had to. Right? Yeah, I had to.
Where did that pull come from? That like I have to. What would have happened if you didn't?
I felt like I would have been very disappointed in myself. Like I feel like it would have, or the reasons that I got pulled in, or the times I got pulled in, were because there were situations that I felt I needed to maybe step into because it was like the right thing to do in terms of like alignment with my values, which fair enough. But also sometimes I think maybe in some of those situations there was emotion that was clouding some of that judgment. And if I think back to some of those times, it's quite often things that happened very quickly and I didn't have enough time to think about things or consider things. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. And another thing also that you're speaking to is helping others while it wasn't needed or appreciated. So almost becoming, as the rescuer in that moment, a persecutor, because the person that you're actually trying to rescue didn't really feel like they needed any support or any help, right? So even though you're trying to do the right thing, being the virtuer, I just created that word, then you in the same moment you become the persecutor to that person as well, right? And then in reinforcing almost like the victim as well in them. Awesome. Cool. So I hope that you start to see also like how one role kind of like can become very quickly a different role in the same time. So in the drama dynamics, it really changes like super fast sometimes, and it's very blurry in who's actually in which role. I love to share a situation of a couple, like a husband and wife. Like let's take a traditional picture, right? That we all kind of like have a mental image of. It's like the husband is working all day long. He comes home in the evening and just wants to download everything that he was dealing with throughout the day, and he just wants to download. The woman is there, she's been at home all day preparing food and stuff, and she just wants to be loved. She feels like the victim of him because he's just downloading all his shit while she just wants to have some connection. She gives him some snappy responses around, just leave your stuff at work, don't bring it home. He then feels like the victim now because he's not seen and heard by his wife. So now already we have this like, okay, who is who? Who is the persecutor? Who is the victim in this situation, right? And then maybe we have the television who comes in as the rescuer. We have the girlfriend, the best girlfriend, who's coming in as the rescuer, who then takes sides with the wife and starts also talking to the husband in a way like you should be taking care of or be nicer to your wife, etc. So as the rescuer, she becomes a persecutor of the husband, and it's like all messed up. Like the drama is always a huge mess. And so let's see how that's going to look like if it's flipped upside down. Actually, does anybody have an idea? I'm going to tease you a little bit more. What the 3 different roles could become from an empowered, loving, safe state of being. You can type in a chat or share it. I'll No, type it in the chat real quick. I want to see. Ta-da-da-da. Tell me which you are speaking to, the listener. So the persecutor, what does the persecutor become? What does the victim become? What does the rescuer potentially become? What would be an empowered role of each? Well, yeah. The motivator would be what, Martin? Okay, the motivator being the rescuer becoming a motivator. The victim becoming the responsible one, persecutor, ... Let's see. All right. Cool. Anybody else sharing? Nobody typing? Cool. Can we have some drum rolls, DJ, please? Thank you very much. I wanted to... No. I'm so not good with this presentation stuff. Advisor, the persecutor, is that what you're talking, Monique? Yeah. Interesting. So let's see. We have the triangle flipped downside up. The victim, which used to be at the bottom in the drama triangular dynamics, becomes a creator, becomes a hero, becomes the main character in their story. I like to call it the co-creator because we're always just really co-creating with the environment, with the situations, with other people around us. A persecutor, the villain, can become a challenger when we choose to look at a challenge from a perspective of empowerment, of knowing that we can move through this, of knowing that this is something that we can use as an opportunity for us to grow, for us to learn, for us to reconnect even to that persecutor, sometimes even, right? The rescuer becomes a coach, becomes a cheerleader, becomes a supporter, becomes somebody who is seeing somebody who's already empowered, who's already a creator, who's already the main character and a hero of a story. The coach simply helps them understand that and see that and hear that. The coach in the role or in the dynamics and the narrative of the empowerment dynamic doesn't need a victim, doesn't need the person to be needing them in order to feel like they're doing something good, or in order to feel valid or valued, to feel worthy. The coach supports where it's needed and drops out when it's not needed anymore. The coach doesn't need to take credit for the person to be able to create something on their own. It's really like this energy of a cheerleader, of someone that reminds another human of their capacity, of their personal power, of their love and their abundance even. And I played with the wording a little bit here because if we look at the drama triangle, it's really that V shape, right? And so we have the three roles of the villain, the virtuer, and the victim. And then in the empowered dynamic, it's the creator, the coach, and the challenger. Does that so far make some sense to you guys? Does any of you have a question? I see Martin saying, I'm definitely guilty of wanting to help more than needed or even wanted. I mean, who not, right? And for me, it's really important for you guys to also see that it's not to say that one is better than the other, that you should just always be in the empowerment dynamic and you never, like, you should blame yourself at any second when you realize that you're being a victim or a villain or a virtuer. And we've all been all of these. Probably already today, there has been a moment where you have been all of them in one way or another. And so it's also about recognizing that, hey, okay, I too have moments where maybe my action isn't what was the best for the other person, for example. And we get to play a little bit with that. Now, when I started diving into this, I had a creative moment. And I came up with this little illustration. And what I'm doing with sharing these two dynamics, these two ways of looking at things, you start becoming that person at the very top who gets to choose in every moment where you would like to navigate or be in. And sometimes you find yourself in the drama triangle. If you notice that you're there, you have a decision to make. Now you can choose whether you want to explore that very actively and consciously, or whether you want to move out into a more empowered way, to move out from being the persecutor to becoming a challenger, from being the rescuer to becoming a coach and a cheerleader, rather, not needing them to change, not needing them to get it right away, but just to trust that they'll find their way eventually anyway, to become the creator rather than the victim of a situation, learning how to make something with this situation, right? And the foundation of both of these is really a little bit of a nervous system thing as well. So when we are living in a state of constant fear, pressure, stress, that's when our sympathetic nervous system is very, very hyperactive. And we're basically just in survival. Wait, I think that's the next slide here. That's when we're really in survival. And if we are in survival mode, it's very likely that we're going to either be the victim, that we're going to be a persecutor, that we're going to be the villain or a rescuer. So how can we move into becoming more empowered is by also taking care of our own nervous system, moving into love, doing nervous system regulation exercises that give our body the sensation of ease and safety. Because if we don't feel safe in our own bodies, then we cannot really operate fully in the empowerment narrative, in the empowerment dynamics. Timothy asked, are you sharing the slides? I can share the slides, but I will also share with you the resource and the book that I got this from, for sure.
So when it comes to the slides, if you want to share these, somewhere in the next few days, I'll upload the recording into our community platform. And in the link, in the description of that, there will be then the link to this, to the books and all the other resources that Fabienne shares with us. So everything will be in there for you guys.
Yes. So yeah. So the idea here really, again, is to understand as well that when we fall into a role of the drama, to also check in with ourselves, like, okay, where am I at in my own body? Where am I at in loving myself and giving myself a sense of worthiness, in knowing that I'm worthy already, no matter whether I manage to drag this person out of their swamp or not. Whether I feel safe in my own body and I can just really allow them to feel challenged. Also allow them every now and then to suffer a little bit, because I think that we all here can attest to a degree that the challenges in our lives were what shaped us and made us stronger and gave us the tools to navigate life better. If we didn't have that moment of trying to of getting to try and figure it out on our own, it wouldn't land as strongly. We wouldn't be able to integrate it as authentically for ourselves if we had somebody tell us and just drag us out of it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I guess, I mean, I can go much, much deeper into this, but I also want to open the room for discussion. And actually, yes, I can share the resource real quick. I think I have the links here, and then you can also still share them. So the book by David Emerald, The Power of TED, is a beautiful, beautiful story, 200 and something pages. It's a small little booklet. It's a 2-hour audiobook, a really, really nice, fast, quick, easy listen. And it's been one of the most impactful and powerful concepts shared. Also, the way that he shares it in his book has been very much life-changing for me. It has been life-changing for me in terms of how I experienced breaking my back, laying there on the floor, knowing that my entire lower back is just like, it's fucked. I knew it, and I knew what was on the stake. Not everything was fully aware at that moment, but I was aware that the wheelchair was a very, very big option for me from here on. I had no idea. And because I've done so much work around this already, I've been playing with this in everyday life with different situations of like just seeing, okay, how would I like to respond if the worst case would happen today? And I prepare myself beforehand already. And so I really had a magical experience on that beautiful snow-covered floor with the sun falling on my face. And people wanting to drag me out of the landing because I was in their way. I told them, I was like, you fucking don't touch me. Wait for the medics, please. But it's been, for me, from that moment on, doors have been opening. And I was granted a very, very fast, very good recovery. I was standing and walking from the very first day, like as soon as I woke up, basically. But the doctor told me that it was that close of a shot to the wheelchair and the beautiful heavens. So why I was recovered that fast, who knows? It could have gone the other way as well. And still, I do have impairments, but every walk, every movement, everything that I can do now is kind of a gift. And sometimes we need to experience these tough moments to really understand that, but we also get to learn from others and choose our way to see things differently now as we go, right? And use smaller situations, smaller challenges to practice that, so that bigger challenges like this will then have less of an impact. And I feel that even if I had the wheelchair now, I would be in a similar state of mind and happiness that I am now. So I just hope that, yeah, something of this like resonated and made a little bit of an aha moment. And if you have questions, please bring them on. And we have at least half an hour available for discussions. I'm also available for longer because you never know how these discussions start happening.
And like there's many, like there's a story comes up that relates very much to this from a personal life that potentially I can share after. But I'd love to hear from you because like you say, practice this in the small moments that if something big comes up, it's easier to deal with it, right? But like how specifically can we practice this? Like, because the theory, I absolutely love it. Seeing that as a challenger, as a co-creator instead of a victim. I like taking that responsibility. But how do I actually put this in practice?
Give me a situation. You have a situation that you would like to explore.
There's nothing that really pops up now, but maybe the story that I was thinking about before, because this is really where for me personally, it became super clear. Fuck, I'm in a rescue role, like where it's a few years ago. I had this fling with this girl and we were like exploring, is this a potential relationship or not? But she was dealing with certain things. Her personal life was a mess. And I stepped into that rescue role. I wanted to rescue her. I gave her, I was in the coaching industry already. I was giving her all these options of what she could do and what she couldn't do. And what I then really noticed is she, she was figuring it out her own way, but she wasn't using that what I was offering her. And in a way, like you mentioned before, I felt, I wasn't worthy, or I like, and all these things. And I was kept on trying to rescue her, but by doing that, kept her in the victim role. So actually, kind of became the persecutor in that sense. So like looking at that situation, how would I flip that around using this terminology?
In the first moment, just stepping back and recognizing, right, that, okay, I'm in the rescuer mode right now. I'm needy, I'm in need to help this person because somehow I feel like I'm not worthy, I'm not doing enough, I'm not the good human that I'm supposed to be if I don't manage to help this person out of their swamps, out of their challenge. So it's about recognizing for yourself of where this need comes from. Like why do you have this urge and this need for this person to feel better? What is that person reflecting about yourself that you're not willing to kind of like take care and nurture in yourself? Because oftentimes when when we have that need to rescue others, it's because we see something that really hurts ourselves, because we recognize that in ourselves. We're trying to fix ourselves unconsciously in the outside.
Mm.
So in relationships of any sorts, if we start to be able to see the other person as a reflection of us, and then trying to fix it within us first, find that safety, because that's all what we really are trying to do. We're trying to find a sense of ease. If I see another person suffering, and that reflects a part of me that I'm still suffering as well, is by me helping them, I'm trying to ease my own pain. I'm trying to ease my own discomfort of seeing them in pain, of seeing them suffering, struggling, being sad, or whatever it is, right? So can I give that to myself and trust that this person is on the exact spot in their life with the exact lesson that they need on a soul level? And I can be there to support. I can be there as an encourager, as a cheerleader, as the safety net whenever they just don't have the strength anymore for now to move forward. I can be there and hold space for them, but from a place of already fullness and healedness about myself. And if I don't have that healedness yet, can I just sit with my own self in that other person and just nurture that and be okay with that pain for now? So learning to be okay with the discomfort as well that sometimes comes with life and the healing journeys and everything. Does that make sense, Martin?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like I shared a little bit in the chat, is the that being aware of what role I'm in, and then what you said before, then choosing whether or not I want to be in that role and how to potentially adjust that. But yeah, also like being okay with that discomfort. But I think what comes up for me when you said that is also being okay with seeing someone else in discomfort. And I think that is where a big challenge for me lies.
Not only you, that's the society, right? And we're being taught and told that we have to help the world and we have to do good. And yes, I'm not saying that you should be an asshole and that you shouldn't help anybody around you, but just be aware of the reasons why you feel the need to help somebody else. Is it really just that innate in the moment desire and thing that's just happening because that's why you two came together? Or is there a need and a friction and it's like
Yeah.
actually not really aligned, right? If it's not received, then it's not what they need. If they don't hear you, like, yes, you can find other ways to communicate and other ways to get to them. That might be your journey, that might be your learning curve in that situation. And maybe then it will get through them. But if it's not happening, can you just be okay with them being on their own path and you being on yours?
Yeah, like Catherine also just asked a good question in the chat because we've been talking a lot about that rescue role, but she focuses more on the victim role. How can we come out of that victim role, say someone who can't find a healthy relationship?
Do you want to speak a little bit to that, Kathleen? Or not? Okay. Maybe not able. So I would like to know more about coming out of the victim role, say someone who can't find a healthy relationship. Well, then the question is again also, why do you have a need to find a relationship now and you not having, I suppose we're talking romantic relationships, correct me if I'm wrong. Why does you not having a romantic relationship mean that you are in a victim role? What makes you feel like a victim in that sense? Oftentimes it might be because we're not feeling worthy, we're not feeling good enough, we're not feeling pretty enough, we're not, I don't know, right? That's why there's so many reasons why we think we don't find the right partner. Eventually, also here, I want to learn to be my own number one partner, the one who gives me the things that I am desiring to receive also from another, rather than me outsourcing my happiness and my sense of wholeness by needing somebody else. And I believe there is some of us do need that duality and that person to give us that feeling of how it would even feel. But I truly believe that we eventually have to become the ones to make ourselves whole, to feel that love that we're expecting to receive from somebody else, to feel that respect and that seenness that we wish to see from others. Because oftentimes it's an outsourcing. We're trying to get something that we are ourselves not able or willing or capable to give to ourselves yet. That's why we need another. That's why we feel like
if I can interrupt, in that specific story, would you then say that the lack of self-worth is a persecutor?
That the lack of self-worth is a persecutor? Yeah, the sensation of feeling of not feeling worthy could be your persecutor. So now turning it into the empowered dynamics, into the empowered triangle, how can you see that as a challenge, as an opportunity for you to reconnect to yourself, to give yourself that sense of worthiness? How can you see that you are already worthy? Does that make sense, Kathleen? And also, yeah, eventually it is for any relationship. It doesn't necessarily need to be romantic. And obviously we all do crave certain connections with other people, but then just see where you might just not see that you have these connections and relationships already because you think that they need to look a certain way.
Just to add a question or add something. So the difference from the rescuer and the coach is that just like in a normal coaching where the coach is distant, actually is more observant or disconnected to the outcome of the coachee. The issue with the rescuer is that the sense of self-worth is tied to the outcome of the person I'm trying to rescue. And maybe I'm trying to rescue that person so that I don't feel a lack of self-worth, so that I am not the victim, because look at me, I'm a rescuer, so I'm not the victim, of course. So it comes actually from a lack of self-esteem in a way.
Exactly. Not just in a way. Very often, yeah. The lack of self-esteem is really, yeah, that's a perfect keyword here. Because and you can see that in many coaches, because we as coaches, I don't know what you all do. I'm a coach. And I've been as a yoga teacher, I can tell you that I came home from my 200-hour teacher training. I thought I can heal the world. And I wanted to start with my family. Good luck. It was a tough journey. And now I'm at a place where I'm in total peace, to a degree. Let's not call it, maybe 99% of peace, with my mom just refusing to do anything about her physical strength and her health and whatnot. I used to refuse to buy her and bring her Coke Zero and cigarettes and chocolate, because that's basically all she consumes, other than thrillers and stories, like devouring books of rape and massacres and stabbing and whatever. Like, if there's no bloodshed in the stories, it's like she's not reading it. She finds it boring. But I can see that there's a lot of trauma that's her rescuer. By reading these kinds of abstract, crazy things, she doesn't have to deal with her own pain and all the lost years and the lost opportunities that she had. And so it's painful because, like, you're basically killing your own mother, but at the end of the day, she's happy. That's what she wants to do. She's content. I could open a Pandora box. I could crack her open to see and look into the things, into her traumas and everything. But would that really serve her? Would that serve the family? Would that serve me? Why would I do that? And then again, like, is there right or wrong? There's no right or wrong. Again, right now, I feel that this is my journey to live with her in acceptance of who she is and the way she chooses. I nudge her. I support her. I'm here if she ever decides that she wants to start looking at things differently. And until then, I allow her to be her. And with my grandma, she's just crying and suffering, but she doesn't want to do anything about it either. All I can do is sit with her, try to bring a little bit of joy into the house, a little bit of understanding, a listening ear, and eat her pain up and dissolve it so that she has a little bit less to carry, but eventually she'll just produce it again for the next day. But that doesn't mean that I'm not a good granddaughter, that I'm not being able to help her. So Timothy says, as daughter, your role is not to mother your mother. Well, yes and no, right? At some point, you become the more fit person that is then also gets to take care of their parents again. But no, I'm not here to mother my mother, exactly. But caring, yes.
Sorry, just I find it interesting with the rescuer inside of me. There was almost a lot of a sense of guilt of, I know how to help you, but and you're not taking it. And then I often felt a guilt associated to it that I'm not doing enough, or I need to try everything I can to help this person. And perhaps this comes, from a lack of that it's not my responsibility, what you just said. And I think it's so beautiful that you're at this point now where you can let, your mother consume whatever she wants to consume, and you're so the important thing is to offer, to acknowledge that we see a different path, yet not force it down the throat of the people if they're not
And
ready
not get
to see.
upset with them, right? Like that's what often then happens. Like, well, I'm trying to help you. Like, what else do you want me to do? I'm like, well, she never asked me to do anything. She never reached out for me to actually help her and make things different. She's fine like this. And once I realized that she's actually, I don't want to call it happy, but in her sense, she's content, right? And sometimes content is better than trying to chase that happy. Content is good enough. Living a life that feels okay can also be good. Doesn't always have to be full ecstatic, doesn't always have to be spraying from joy. That also can bring its own pain and challenges, because now we're chasing that high all the time and we're feeling bad when we feel bad, not realizing that it's totally normal to have our downsides as well. We don't need to feel guilty or bad or ashamed for feeling sad, for feeling a little bit down at some points. And that's like for me still, I'm no saint here at all. And even with that sense of guilt, I still have that. I don't know if it simmered through just before, but also I'm like, sharing this makes me uncomfortable that I'm feeding my mom with all of this nonsense when I have so many ideas and tools that I could give her. It makes me sometimes feel like, okay, what do people think that I'm not doing enough for my mom? I should be pushing more. I should be helping her more so that she actually sees how I can help her. So there's still an element here as well for me too.
Love all that. And there's so much to resonate when I look at my relationship with friends, family. Yeah, I also really just wanted to take a quick moment to create some space for the people that we haven't heard so much here. Know that this is a moment where you can where you can ask questions if there's something you'd still like to know. Feel free to use the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself. This space is here right now. If there's any questions about this victim role, the rescue role, Fabienne is here right now. So if there's maybe a specific situation that you are stuck in right now, and that you don't know how to overcome, I like use this space, use this expert in this field here, Fabienne. I like use her knowledge to be able to move through that, just like Catherine did as well. And Catherine, if there's something else, feel free to use the chat and pop in that question, okay?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can I ask something? Oh, I had to raise my hand, sorry.
Okay.
Because I can relate to this as being a mother. This is exactly what it is about. I guess it's one-on-one like this on a daily basis, on a 5-minute basis. And my question is actually relating to my daughter. I am very aware of this when I talk to her or when she talks to me and there's this situation, but then there also at the same time it happens when someone else is around, and then this person becomes the persecutor. And I think this is for me the hard thing, because then it is said, oh, you're being too soft like this and this, and you should be this. And so then it feels like it's three things going on, and it's difficult, and it's a challenge. I know what to do. And then it's mostly that I just stay silent and just wait and continue the conversation with my daughter. And yeah. So do you have any tips on that?
So what is your exact question, Monique? I hear you definitely in terms of it's challenging, right? Because there's so many elements that come in. But what's the specific question you would like me to answer?
The specific question is actually that it's shifting very fast, these two triangles then at that moment, because there's this triangle shift when I'm talking with my daughter, and then there's the triangle shift when the other person joins in and kind of feels like blaming, not knowing what
Blaming or
not knowing what's going on, because I am in that other triangle already and that other person isn't.
Are we speaking like parents? Is it your like the father, or parents? Is it family or complete stranger? Oh, it's complete stranger.
Parents, friends, colleagues, teachers, it's happening everywhere. Stores, everywhere, actually. This is happening everywhere. That other people start interrupting in your process of parenting. That's actually what's happening. Yeah, now I understand myself better.
Okay,
What to
okay,
do?
get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Thank you for the question. And obviously, it's not an easy thing, right? Because yes, there is so many different people are in different states, and I want to share the screen one more time with you guys. So which one should we take? Let's take this one. One thing is that once you are in the empowerment dynamic, you don't really see persecutors or villains anymore, or virtuers and rescuers. You get to see these people, even for you and even for them, maybe they are in the drama triangle, they feel like they are the persecutor. But can you see them as a challenger? Can you see them as someone who gives you an opportunity to check in first with yourself of how that makes you feel when this person kind of like goes the opposite direction of what you normally do as a parent, and what that makes with you, and use that conflict to strengthen yourself in your belief and in your standpoint on how you parent. And can you also help your children understand this, so that they get to be in the constant role of a co-creator who doesn't feel like they're being bullied? They get to see that there is a person that is looking for connection, that is, even though in a distorted way, right? But in some way, this person is looking for your attention, is looking for connection. It doesn't have to be something, it doesn't have to mean that you're bad. I mean, it's all perception anyway, but can you help your child to see, to fill their own cup, to know that they're worthy, to know that they're strong, to know that they are good enough, so that a potential bully doesn't even exist anymore? They just see another friend or another colleague that hasn't received the love that they needed, and so this is just the way that they know how to find connection. That's maybe the way that their parents have given them their attention, by teasing them, by being mean to them. And so we get to start seeing different roles in different ways. Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yes, I understand now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just-
It's not, yeah, I get it. Yeah. To shift it into seeing them as a co-creator, or where it comes from.
See, and check in with yourselves. Like, have you been quite stressed lately? And is there maybe an opportunity for you to just take a couple of breaths and anchor into trust, so that you can let other people do whatever they're doing, and trust that you are still doing the right thing for you and for your daughter, or for your child as well.
Yes.
And that they will get whatever they need. Maybe your child needs that voice of that persecutor, that challenger right now. Maybe that is what their soul, their little human, actually needs to hear right now. That doesn't mean that your style of parenting is wrong. Your type of parenting is your type of parenting. That's what you want to give to your child. But others still, like, we live in an interactive world, so you cannot protect your child from other people being mean. You can help your child seeing these mean people as opportunities to get stronger in themselves, and to maybe also give a little bit of love to them, even though they're being mean. Give a little bit of, I don't know, it's not easy. And I don't have the ultimate solution. But play with these dynamics, and see how you in that moment then also might fall into the role of the victim, almost, because you feel like now this person is kind of like putting you down by doing it differently. And can you trust that you're not a victim? They're not persecuting you. They're giving you an opportunity to check in and really anchor in with yourself the thing that you stand for.
Yes, thank you.
I personally love that. Even though I don't have children myself, I got so much out of that. So I thank you for that beautiful response of how to look at these relationships, and definitely when someone comes in and gives their unsolicited opinion sometimes. So I'll be like, before we slowly start closing off, I want to make the space for one more person, one more question, one more situation that Fabienne can give a response to. So is there someone with something very specific in mind? No?
If there's nothing else, but space is still open, I would love to leave you, like, whenever we're ready, but just for you also to know, I didn't share that earlier with you. I would love to leave you with a little exercise, like one of the most simple exercises, and has been super potent and powerful for me in terms of nervous system regulation. So it will be like a quick 3 to 5 minutes thing with instructions, but the exercise itself is like 2 minutes max. So no excuses not to do it, and you'll see how easy and simple it is. I call it the beach pose.
Yeah, like, feel free to take us through that. And if there's nothing else that came up, then we'll slowly close off after that. Have you share your socials so people can ask you questions personally if they want to. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the exercise you're going to share.
Okay. Nobody wanted to share anything else? We're all good to that point? Cool. All right. So the beach pose, I came up with the word because that's basically what you're doing. I have it from a book that speaks on the polyvagal theory. And it's a little bit of a detour, different idea of looking at the two nervous systems of the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is just fight, flight, or rest and digest. The polyvagal theory brings in a little bit more nuance to that. And and in how to bring the body into this sense of ease and safety. Most of us, hopefully, maybe not, but we we are aware that the physical body and physical posture has an effect on our moods and our well-being, right? So if we're closed up, it's usually tensing or telling the body and the brain that we're kind of like unsafe or in protection mode. And when we're open and expanded and extended, it signals the body and the brain that it's safe. We wouldn't be laying on the beach like that if the situation wasn't safe. So by taking a position like we would be laying on the beach, we signal the brain instantly that we're in a safe environment. And that brings the body into a relaxed and easeful state. So you can keep your cameras open or lock them or whatever. Take yourself off camera if you're afraid of sweaty armpits. Eventually, you would do that laying down. Well, I've had people telling me that they didn't really not feel comfortable showing their sweaty armpits. I was like, I'm sorry. You do that laying down on your bed, right? In the morning, just after waking up, in the evening, just before you fall asleep. So you're in bed already. You take the pillow away, you create this little pillow with your fingers so that your skull can rest beautifully in it. And right now, sit up nice and straight. There might be a little bit more work for the arms here. Feel free to lay down as well if you can. And then just take 2 deep breaths here. Relax the shoulders. If you're laying down, you would also try to relax your body. And then keep your nose pointing forward and gaze with your eyes as far to the left as you can without it creating a headache or anything. And just observe. We're going to stay here looking towards the left for about 45 seconds to a minute. And you can observe if there is any yawning that wants to occur, if there is a sigh happening, a swallow spontaneously, maybe even a gurgling of the stomach. And whether you're feeling something or not is totally fine. I've seen a few yawn. And then slowly bring your gaze over to the other side, keeping the nose pointing forward. And again, look as far to the side as feels comfortable. Keep noticing if your shoulders tense up. When you're laying down, that's a little bit easier. And again, notice if there's any spontaneous yawn, swallow, sighs, or maybe even a burp or a fart happening. Nobody sees it, hears it. Let's just breathe deeply, naturally. Trust that your body is breathing. Keep your nose pointing forward as your eyes gaze to the side. And slowly bring it back to center. Relax. And right here, right now, I forgot to do the pre-exercise, but if you want to do that later on before you go to bed, if you're sitting up straight and just check how far you can see or look to the side and just notice where there is tension to both sides. Take note of that before you do the exercise, and then do it again after you did the exercise. Most likely you can feel a physical effect in your neck already. But what it does, it's informing your brain that it's safe, that you can move into rest and digest and healing mode. And from that place on, you can allow other people to do whatever they want. It's not affecting you so much anymore. Do that every morning, every evening for a week, 10 days. and notice how your interactions with other people and challenging situations might change. Thank you. Oh, yeah, and also, so the eye movement, by the way, is directly linked with the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is the biggest nerve in your body that's responsible for regulating those different states.
I love that, Fabienne. I work a lot with breath work, meditative moments, but way too little with body postures and know how effective they can be. So thank you for sharing that. And I love the expertise that you bring in on how the eyes is connected to the vagus nerve. And I definitely see potential for a different workshop around these kind of topics if you're
There's
interested
so
in that.
much.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a conversation to be had about potential future things if you're interested. But
Anytime.
I'll share a few words to close off, Fabienne. I'm not sure if you have your socials copy paste ready somewhere, if you need to grab them somewhere, but feel free to put them in the chat so people can follow you, hear about you, reach out to you if they have more questions about this or other things. But yeah, thank you for taking this moment. Thank you for allowing us to be here and to learn from you. Definitely felt a big sense of expertise and noticed or got a new perspective on how to look at dramatic situations. And like the big thing for me is switch the persecutor into a challenger. Like I kind of do that, but like having this terminology around it makes it very easy and digestible. And like, okay, now I just need to do this, like it's very logical now on how to deal with these situations. Definitely something I got out of it. So thank you. Fabienne just shared her Instagram in the chat. So anyone who loved this, give her a little bit of love back, give her a follow, and see whatever she comes up with.
Yes, and definitely happy to have further conversations with any of you guys. I share Instagram and LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active at the moment. I don't really have a website or anything, really. Marketing is not my strong suit.
And if there's anyone who wants ski lessons or snowboard lessons from Fabienne, go to Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Where in Switzerland are you?
Grindelwald, Interlaken.
Grindelwald makes me think of the new movies, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was something.
Nah, all right then. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to wish everyone, also say thank you to everyone for showing up, for being here, for taking care of yourself, for wanting to learn and to grow more. And see you all very, very soon. Have a wonderful day or evening, everyone, depending on wherever you are. Ciao.
Thank you, guys.